The third and fourth issues I've left for last because, as you heard from Patty, I was named in this Congress as the Vice Chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee by Chairman John Dingell, which was quite an honor for me because Mr. Dingell's been in Congress since before I was born. Think about that. And Patty, I can't see too well either most days. So. John is sort of the old bull of Congress. He's been in Congress now 52 years. This is his 52nd year. He wrote the Clean Air Act. He wrote the Safe Drinking Water Act and a number of other bills. He skipped over 13 Democrats who were more senior than me on the committee to name me vice chairman. And sometimes people say to me, isn't it really hard being a woman in Congress? And sometimes you do see discrimination, but when you can have a mentor like John Dingell, it kind of gives you hope for the future. And what John has asked me to do, he says, Diana, as well as presiding over hearings, which I've done with gusto, like with Mike Levitt, the chairman, the secretary of HHS, and some of the folks from the EPA. He also wants me to take on some other little chores, he said. And one of the little chores is he wants to try to have me help them with this energy legislation that's coming through this summer, because my committee has the primary jurisdiction over this legislation. I must say, in my 10 years in Congress, the low point of my legislative year every year is when we pass the energy bill, because it's a retroactive bill that just supports big energy and extractive industries. So this year, under the great leadership of Nancy Pelosi and others, we're really trying to move that bill forward. It's going to be a tough fight, and to be honest, I'm going to have a tough fight with my own chairman, who has made me the vice chairman because he represents Detroit. And so, for example, he does not want to raise CAFE standards, the miles per gallon standards for cars. I've been one of the leaders in trying to raise these CAFE standards for years and years. But we're going to have a bill in the short term, and you'll see this over the next few weeks. It's going to sort of be the low-hanging fruit, but that doesn't mean it won't be important. It'll be a bill to encourage renewable energy and conservation. And to show you what, I mean, this seems kind of self-evident to all of us in Colorado, but in the last big energy bill we did, the entire conservation title was encouraging federal employees to carpool, and I am not making that up. So we're going to be looking at broad incentives and ways to help people do conservation and renewables, and I think it's going to be good legislation. The harder and more long-term bill that we're still going to be working on is how do we reduce carbon emissions, and how do we reduce carbon emissions, and how do we begin to stop global warming. And we're looking at a whole variety of proposals for that, including cap-and-trade systems, increasing the CAFE standards, and so on. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be the harder fight. That's going to be even a hard fight among the Democratic Party in Congress. But we've got to do something, and we've got to be aggressive. And you can be assured that I will be fighting on the side of environmental, reducing global warming and of environmental protection. So that's the energy issue.